Hi all, welcome to my channel, welcome to my world. This is the world of Wayne. Last video for the week, I'm going to do the next 4 stages of the U-boat U96 from Hachette Partworks. But before I go into it, I do have to make some adjustments, so check this out. So I'm going to be doing stages 105 to 108, and that means I'm going to be putting in the last compartment. Now, I've been looking at Todd McWilliams' Marvel Phoenix build of this, and he's got an absolutely brilliant way to actually do this. I know a lot of people have been struggling. So before I even look at the instructions of what I'm going to do, there is something I'm going to do first. And it all involves this area here where we're going to be putting some propellers in. Basically, we've got to slip the last compartment, which is this compartment here, in here. Actually, it goes that way round, in here like this. A lot of people have been having problems with that, and the easiest way to do that is to put this compartment in first and then slot this one in afterwards. But we can't do that while we've got this bracketing system on here. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to remove the brackets here, this whole grid if you like, so I'll be able to remove and place this one in. So it's just a case of removing the screws here and keeping everything safe. Now once I've got this out, I'm just going to save the screws. I will continue with the 4 packs that we've got from this stage.
A few moments later.
And there you go. As you can see, that's out. I'm going to keep that to one side. So as I said, we're going to do the propeller shafts today. I don't know if this is available. Once again, I've got all of my links to all the builds I'm doing down in this QR code here. But without further ado, let's get cracking. So I am hoping by taking that compartment out, it's going to be easier to actually install the last compartment. But let's get everything open here. We are making the port propeller shaft first. That's interesting here. Look, I've got a handwritten note on this bag. Bit weird. Okay, so this is what everything looks like. This had already fallen off, so I don't know if this has actually been opened before with that handwritten note. I've got to snip off the propeller blades from the sprue here, and I'm going to be putting these onto this propeller shaft. Now look, this has already been all created for us. This has been put on. Pretty cool. Obviously they're going to go on here, and I've got glue, so it's just a case of putting these on here just like that. And I'll continue doing that with the other blades. Now this isn't going to be one of the easiest things I do today, but as you can see, they are all in. I'm just going to let that dry. Okay, now I've moved this down my workbench here because I'm going to be working on this area here to actually put the propeller into place. So I'm going to be putting this into place here. So basically what we're doing is holding this like that, going through the shaft so that this geared section here is going to fit into the recess here. Going to be fitting on top just like that, and then this gets pushed up, and then I'm attaching this into here just like that. I need an FM screw. Now to do this, I'm going to need to make sure I've got an FM screw ready, and the FM screw is one of the silver screws where we've got 2 in a bag, and screw that in here. I have put oil on this screw. So that's going to keep that into place. Now this propeller, as I said, the gear is going to sit into that little section just there. And to keep that in there, we've got this retaining plate, which looks like this. That's going to be fitting into the gap just here, like this. And it's being held in with 2 GM screws. And these are the silver screws where we've got 3 in a bag. It's getting very fiddly now, not because what we're doing is fiddly, is because this is so big and I don't want it toppling over towards me. So there you go, that's the 2 screws in there. Now this can't come out. Now we did have a motor assembly that we assembled in stage 104, and that looks like this here, as you can see. Now I want to put this on here, matching the same shape as what we've got in there, and that's going to sit just like that. Perfect. Now I'm holding that in with the black screws that we've got here. These are CP screws. That's going to engage the propeller onto the motor. And with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. Okay, in stage 106, we're going to be working on the second propeller now. So let's just get this open. Once again, we've got a motor in here and some little other parts. I want to put this label, which is labelled M10, onto this large cable here. And I want to put it at the end that's got the plug on, not the socket end. I want it on the plug end over here. Perfect. Plug the other end that's got the socket on into the motor. And then the motor in itself is going to have a gear going on the end. So we do have a cross section at the end. Just line that up like that. Okay, we want to take the motor housing now. And we've got two parts of this that we need to put together. So we've got this part here. And I've got this part here. So I'm just going to put this over the top. And I'm holding these together with FP screws. Now there's two lots of black screws in here. The FP ones are the shorter of the two. The longer ones are BP screws. So let's get this in. One screw there. And one on this side. That's perfect. And then that will enable me to take the motor, put this into place on here. So I've lined up the motor like that, and the holes here. Grab a BP screw and secure this down into place. So one here and one on the other side. So the motor's now in the housing. And then I want to bring over the U-boat again. And just like we have this side, I've got one of these to put into place as well. It's actually going to be going in this way. So it's the exact symmetry of the one we had in there. This is held in with the silver screws. So one there. And one here. And with that in place, that's all there is to do in that stage. So pretty much mimicking how we started this pack. In stage 107, I've got the propeller here. But once again, we're going to be assembling. Now when I cut these propellers off, we do want to make sure that the surface is completely flush. Otherwise it's not going to sit right. But once again, I've got plenty of glue. So I'm going to be putting this in each channel here. And I'll get these into place. There we go. That's how that looks. So while I'm letting that dry, once again, I'm going to take out one of these FM screws. So I've got this ready to load up. So I can bring the U-boat back over again. Let's just get it to sit nicely. There you go. And then once again, I'm going to put this into place by lining up this bottom section here. Letting that rest just there while I get this lined up. Get this screwed in. Don't want it to fall down too much because obviously they're still drying there. And then I've got these 3 screws here. These are the other silver screws, which are going to hold this into place on here. And we do have a bracket to put across. So now that can't move out of place. And I'll get this screwed in. So one here. That's holding that in. And here's the other one. Nice. And then once again, get the black screws out, which is going to enable me to put the motor in. Locked that into position there. And get this secured down. So one there and one on the other side. Okay, I think it's probably important now that I test these motors. So I do have the test board here. So I'm going to plug that in, and let's plug one motor in first, and then press the button here. As you can see, that works forwards and backwards. That's good. Okay, let's test the other one. This is the other one in, and there you go. Perfect. With that done, that's all there is to do in that stage. We're not doing anything with these yet, just so you know. So in the last stage of this pack, we've got the elevator motor. So there doesn't look to be much to do, but believe me, there's a lot to do. This is probably going to be, from what I understand, one of the hardest stages of this build. We are going to be putting the last compartment in as well. So let me just get all of this out. You know what? I've just looked at the instructions, and it looks like they've changed the instructions to how they used to be. So they did want me to remove that compartment, which is what I've done. That's pretty good. Okay. We do have this black section here that I'm going to be putting over the top just like this. Lining up all the holes. There you go. And I'm holding these in with FM screws. Now, this is the ones that we've got 7 silver screws in a bag. We only need 6 of these though. We're going to be putting this in with 6 screws. So all the 4 corners first, and then we've just got the 2 here. Now I want to take this compartment here. I've already taken one of the things off here. You'll see why in a second. I'm moving all the wires here. Now these wires, actually, they want me to put them out the back here like this, so that when I put this in, I'm actually sliding this into position. So it's actually going to be going kind of like this, and it should sit in nicely just like that. Now hopefully you can see it. If we had this compartment here in, we wouldn't have been able to do that. So that's just made things a hell of a lot easier. Now I'm securing these down with GP screws. These are the ones that we've got 8 in a bag of, the black screws. So one there. And one here. So that's in place. And we're now going to be sorting out all of these wires here. So I want to make sure they're all coming out the side over here, because I've got another compartment to put in here now, which is the one I took out. And as you can see, what I can do now is just slot this in. Slots in lovely and easy, as you can see there. And then what I'm going to do is just attach these back into the points on here.
A few moments later.
Now I am hoping you can see this on one of the cameras. Obviously I'm putting this wires under here to pinch them into place. This is from the motor and all the lights in this last compartment. This is the tricky bit now, that I've got to try and get this screwed in here. So I'm going to take my time on this. Now if I just move this up a touch, very hard, but as you can see, I'm putting all the cables into the little notch into this section here now, and in the same way I'm going to be putting this into place. So as you can see, all the wires are now coming through here. I'm just going to attach these brackets back in again now. Now once that's all in place, I've got this last piece of bracket to put on. This came in stage 103. It's just a case of lining all of this up, putting the bracket in where it's going to go perfect, and then putting screws in place to keep these in. So I've got DP screws here. These are the black screws which are going to go into the bottom here, and then finally I've just got the GP screws going in at the top here. So that's all of those in place, all the brackets in place now. That's looking really good. I've got a bracket here which is going to go into the back, just onto this side here. Again, I'm going to be putting those in with the DP screws. And there you go, that is all the brackets now in place. So I can eventually put the sides back on, which I will do right at the end so you can see how that looks. But I'm hoping that I've made that section a lot easier to put in than they originally had it. Now there is one other thing that I need to put in here, and that was this section here, which actually goes through the hole there, and then it's just a case of pushing it down into place. Ah, perfect. Okay, let's just put that to one side. And I'm going to bring over the parts that we've got in this one. Look at this for a motor. This is a geared motor here. We've got a housing to put on for this. It's going to fit into this housing here, and it goes in this way. Making sure that I've got the right way round. So the cable, as you see, is coming out here. I'm holding that in with these silver screws that I've got. These are CM screws. And we need 2 of these. That looks good. On the end, we've got a crank to put on. This is a D-shaped pattern, so it can only go on one way. Let me just get this on. Just like that. It's like a servo, actually. It's held on with an AP screw, which I've got here. Just down the top. There you go. And that's going to stop that coming out. But that feels like a servo, to be honest with you. I don't know what it is, but there you go. That's in place. And that is all there is to do in that pack. You know what? I was really worried right from the start about this pack. But as you can see, it's gone really well. Let me just bring this back over again. Looking just like this. So let me go put all the panels back in as well. And this is how it's looking at the moment. So I've still got the panels here, but that's all the compartments at the ends there. It's a big model, isn't it? And as you can see, we got the anchor on that side, and we have put the propellers in, which can't focus. There we go. And there. What a big model. Okay, I'm going to gently put this down. Now I do have some other panels to put in, but they do need screwing in. Let me just gently put that there. Namely these ones. These go on the back, and as you see, we screw these down, but we haven't had to do that yet. So we do have 2 more panels to make, and I'm just looking what I've got in my box. Not a lot of other bits there as well. Now I do have the next pack here, so I will be doing this shortly as well. But I really hope you liked that video. If you did, please remember to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed already, please remember to subscribe. Other than that, take care.